Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is a video about the Leo full moon taking place on February 1st at 5:08 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. If not, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Some really fun news for you guys. I got to be a guest on Lauren of Master Your Mind, Business and Life's podcast. Our episode is out. It was published on the 21st of January, and the link to listen directly on her site, which you're seeing on her screen, is below in the description box, which you can also stream on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, and other popular streaming services. So definitely check it out. In this special episode, we talk about the energy climate for lightworkers for the year ahead, 2026, as it interfaces with the changes we're seeing geopolitically, socioculturally, worldwide, not just in the United States, with some encouragement so that you know you're not lost, you're not late, you're not doing it wrong, and some guidance on how to navigate the challenging energies of 2026 while staying aligned with your highest good and your mission work. There are twin flame insights woven throughout the segment, but there's also a segment specifically at the end dedicated to channeled messages just for twin flames. So definitely check this out when you are ready. The episode's roughly about an hour long, and I'd love to know what you think. Definitely leave me a line. Um, Over there or over here. Let Lauren and I know how you liked the episode. If you have a podcast, radio show, YouTube channel, or TikTok and would like to bring in astrological updates for your audience based on any one topic or several topics that are important to your listeners, we can talk about whatever you want. Drop me an email at chrysalismoon@gmail.com and I'll follow up with you so we can set something up for your listeners. There are a few other podcasts coming up in the months to come, so stay tuned. I am very excited to be collaborating. Okay, question of the day for those of you who stay through the intros. I know not everyone does. Some people are like, just get on with it, Kay. But yeah, I'm a human and I have things to share, and I want to get to know you and I want to share a little bit about me. So, here is what I have been pondering on as we have moved through the ascension process collectively. I'm really curious, have your musical tastes changed? I've always been sonically sensitive, but I've noticed that since 2012, I'm even more particular about tones, lyrics, and sensitive to how music impacts my mood, my energy levels, my focus, my ability to sleep. Music is literally my caffeine and my chamomile. So I'm super curious if music has changed for you and how you're working with it. Since 2012, it's been what, 15 years since we can officially say Ascension has started. I'm sure it started for many of us before that time, but collectively, we recognize 2012. And if music has never been your thing, I'm curious about TV and film. Has anything that you enjoyed in that arena shifted pre 2012, post 2012? Have you noticed what you can consume and how it impacts you? Anything changed? One of my favorite things now, like that I'm enjoying right now, are solfeggio tones for conditioning my atmosphere, my cells, structuring my water, or while I sleep, or just during the day in the background while I work. I just kind of keep them on low in the background sometimes, but I don't know. Is that just me? Let me know. I'm super curious. Let's get into this Leo full moon, which is taking place right here at the 13th degree of Leo. So I said it in the Capricorn New Moon a couple weeks back. I said that that new moon was going to be some stuff. And as we saw, it was some stuff. I hope you and your loved ones, wherever you are on the planet, are keeping safe and you are placing yourself where you can find and generate healing, connection, and love. in spite of the challenges showing themselves on the planet at this time. This full moon promises to be slightly lighter, but it's still packing some of the same intensity because some of the same planets are still in close configuration, namely Mars and Pluto here sitting super close in opposition to this full moon. So we may still be working through resolution from a lot of the themes from the last new moon at this full moon. And that shouldn't be a surprise to you. You're probably already energetically feeling that, seeing that in your live stream, watching it on the news, these sorts of things. So let's get into it. As much as the last new moon catalyzed new change with a lot of cardinal energy and challenged the very fabric of what connects us emotionally in the sign of Cancer, this full moon establishes some new norms with all of its fixed energetic placements. You see, there's placements, planetary placements in, well, 11 fixed fan. Let me try to get that out again. There are 11 fixed planetary placements at this Leo full moon for us to experience. Now, even though this is a full moon, which are indicative of closures, this full moon is in Aquarius, which is bucking the norms, overriding established systems, creating the quantum leap forward, doing the new, the unconventional. It is also an energy of chaos in shadow. Aquarius is the energy of fixed newness. So, broadly speaking, we do see some breaks with the established norms that indicate closure of one chapter, opening, and permanent establishment of something new. Mind you, we are also in the pre period, the warm up period to the solar eclipse in Aquarius, the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius taking place on the 17th of February. We've been in this energy for the last, I'd say about 60 or so days. You're going to start to see real precision around this energy start to ramp up the closer we get to the 17th with this new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. This energy is going to be starting a brand new energetic and eclipse cycle for us on the Leo Aquarius axis. So, Pisces and Virgo, I know your lives have been upside down for the last year and a half, Virgo in particular. It is now about to be Leo and Aquarius's turn, with Leo in particular being the focal point for closure, completions, and change. Now, thankfully for all of us collectively, that eclipse cycle, it's not going to be as heavy, mostly because it's not coming with as much closure energy. This eclipse cycle comes with a lot of newness, new beginning energy. But what's new? Are we going to like what's new? Do we like the changes? That's going to be up to us. We're going to have to play our hand in the shaping of the way this eclipse energy shows itself in our live stream, but also collectively, because this is a north node moving into Aquarius cycle, which is indicative of shaping by community, collectives, groups, unions, colleagues, plurality, more than one person. So we're going to have to work together to find our way through this into newness that serves us collectively. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you do know that I tend to publish updates about the eclipse cycle, go from eclipse to eclipse, what we should expect, what we're going to be looking at for each eclipse on the cycle. I did that for the Pisces Virgo eclipse axis. We are not done with those eclipses. We have more of those eclipses, even all the way into 2027. That's when we hit the final one, but there will be overlap with this Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle. Pisces and Virgo was all about service, spirituality versus religion, live and let live versus structure and rules. So we saw a lot of changes in regards to those areas in the last year and a half to 2 years. We will now see changes in the areas of life concerning the people versus the king. Aquarius is the sign of the people, Leo is the sign of the sovereign. And so, as you can see, we are already heavily impacted by these eclipse energies. They're already starting to play out for all of us collectively, no matter where you are on the planet. And our job as light workers, as we move through this, bearers of love, bearers of light, is to continuously hold the center of gravity at what is in the most and highest loving good for everyone involved, including ourselves. We don't abdicate or sacrifice ourselves. We include ourselves in that, knowing that what we need may not be what other people need, what others need may not be what we need, etc., etc., etc. We want everyone to have a place because there's space enough for all of us here on the planet. Okay? So we'll start to get into those themes with a dedicated update for that. But I wanted to just bring you into just where we're headed energetically, why things feel the way they do, because it's not just this Leo new moon. It was not just the Leo full moon. It was not just the Cancer new moon. It is that we are in this eclipse, we are in this new eclipse cycle with its intensity ramping up until the 17th. And so some of the things that I'm about to say here will also be a part of that energy playing a role at this Leo full moon. So I wanted to give you some headlines about that. This particular Leo full moon, let's just clear these up. Here's the Leo full moon, is opposite Venus in Aquarius at the 19th degree, and we see tension here between needs and desires. Now, this can facilitate some difficulty getting on the same page when it comes to the needs of the individual. That's Moon, that's Leo. Difficulty getting on the same page when it comes to the needs of the individual versus the desires, that's Venus, of the group. That's Aquarius. This is especially potent with the moon, needs and feelings, in the sign of the king, the sovereign, the queen, and Venus, which is desires and attraction, and the sign of people and collectives. In individual relationships, this can make it difficult to get on the same page because of duties and obligations outside of a relationship, despite best intentions to be aligned. There can be energies that cause an experience of being pulled in opposite directions due to pre-existing connections or commitments, or a personal desires not aligning with what the connection needs at this time, or vice versa. Personal needs not aligning with what you desire in connection. This can complicate dating and coming into connection with new people. Like, you may just not have the time because of work commitments. It can also complicate existing connections, especially where one or both of you are in leadership positions within a group. Again, what comes to mind most directly about this is something having to do with potentially issues with time, or where you're needed, or where you need to dedicate time, attention, and focus, just not quite aligning with getting on the page with others. In a more collective sense, looking outwardly now, this is where we see the collective having the experience of wanting to move in a direction that's outside of the governing body or authority's desired directions. These planets are in opposition. We see that opposition outside as well. This can create challenges in institutions, organizations, governments, obviously, with employees, customers, and constituents. However, power, and that's Pluto, is on the side of the people, the group at this time. So, for those of you who are part of unions or other groups protecting basic rights and needs of the group you're a part of, know that the astrology supports your work toward organizational, governmental, and institutional change. Keep going. We also see here an opposition to Mercury. Here's Mercury conjunct that Venus there in Aquarius, opposite this particular full moon in Lilith. This can create challenges, and we also see Mercury as conjunct Chariklo there. This can create some challenges between needs and feelings, and then communications and thoughts. So here's needs and feelings, that's the moon. Here's communication and thoughts, that's Mercury. This can make for a bit of back and forth internally as you account for your feelings and then accommodate your thoughts, as they may not be fully in alignment at this time. In interpersonal situations, slowing down, taking a little bit more time before speaking or making decisions can really help here. In some cases, more information will surface in the fullness of time, providing clarity so you can be in alignment with yourself. Alternatively, perfect time to explore the tension with a therapist or coach to help you see and remember the non-integrated parts of yourself back into integration. Overall, in interpersonal situations, the counsel here is to take your time in communicating and connecting with others, as you or they can be experiencing a lot of inner duality in a way that makes this time better for exploring rather than final decision making. We also know that Mercury is about to go retrograde not too far from now. And so, really taking the time to understand that this may be a process with multiple conversations rather than a singular conversation, one and done. That's going to be part of this, and that's okay. Where you can, leave conversations open for revisitation. Where you can't, trust your life, trust the lessons that are flowing through it, and know that you'll be able to make changes as Mercury comes direct post retrograde. When it comes to collectives and groups, again, that's the sign that Mercury sits in. This aspect can make it challenging to get on the same page with others, as extremes can show up. Being all in your head or being all in your feelings, but not integrating both simultaneously, because you see, feelings are opposite thoughts at this particular full moon in Leo. This can cause tension, of course, in negotiations, meetings, contract negotiations for a period of time, but this tension in groups has a purpose. It allows us to fully see where the totality of the collective is and why we are where we are. It allows us to see the truth about the challenges because of where minds and hearts have been at odds within different groups. This exposure of where the tension points will allow us to see the nature of the work that needs to be done, and that will allow us to move forward together. We'll be able to see the sticking points for ourselves and for others in a way that allows us to find a way forward together. Now, let's clear that. See, we've got a stack of energies over here to cover, so let's get into the next one. We also see this full moon in opposition to Vesta, Mars, and Pluto. And this is where the tension, I would say, comes from, but it was here at the full moon, sorry, the new moon in Cancer as well. So can't say that it's it's new. We're just still in the atmosphere of it. It's a bit of a carryover. Now, while this is a loose opposition and not an exact opposition, the tension in this can still be felt. And this is a significant carryover, like I said, from the last lunation, because when Mars and Pluto come together, the energy can be productive or a power struggle and blowout. We saw the power struggle and blowout in the last lunation, but know that you can use this for accomplishing things you wouldn't otherwise be able to accomplish. How you use or get used by this energy, it's going to be up to you, okay? Moon opposing Mars in this way can create personal irritability and a sense of restlessness that can turn into agitation. Underlying this, there's a need to externalize emotions, to act on emotions. Mars is our planet of action and movement. The challenge is that needs, which are the moon, are in opposition to the actions that may or may not be taken at this time. So this can create an acting out of sorts. The intensity is amplified because Pluto, power, is in the mix with both of them. So the impact of actions can feel or actually be 10 times bigger than intended. Tread intentionally with this one because there are some impacts that won't be able to be undone with this full moon. No matter how much you didn't mean it to go that way or be taken that way. Alternatively, given the tension implicit in the other aspects already mentioned, things that allow you to physicalize this energy, exercise, sports, working out, movement, that can help a lot to metabolize the intensity as integration and clarity emerge in the wake of this full moon. Now, in collective energies, Mars, Pluto, and Vesta here inside of Aquarius can make for some tense times. Now, we've already seen the way these energies can come to a head at the last new moon. So, as this aspect wanes and works its way out, similar energies can erupt with lesser intensity. Because this is a full moon in Leo, what we see is completion, that's the full moon part, on the side of the king or the individual. Leo represents kings, sovereigns, queens, authorities, these sorts of things. We have a completion there in this full moon energy. And then we have power flowing through, here's power, Pluto, and action, Mars, flowing through the sign of groups, collectives, communities, colleagues, friendships, unions, etc. And technology, which is what connects the group. Okay. So how this can look, and this is important to note, this is one of those times where things can get a little hectic in crowds and escalate quickly. So be careful if you're doing group activities and in meetings at work, stay mindful and intentional with your words, as people can be edgy and things can escalate quickly. If there is conflict, can escalate quickly if there is conflict from talk to action, and that action would be difficult to undo at this time. Okay. Now, moving into energies outside of this Aquarius heavy opposition to the full moon. By the way, if you're an Aquarius, happy birthday. Really excited to celebrate another rotation around the sun with you. We have a semi-sextile to Jupiter, and there's that. We see Jupiter sitting roughly 30 degrees behind this full moon. There can be an over-optimism and trust that can go to extremes here. It can give us the expansive perspective that we can do the impossible and have faith and trust to feel that we can do what is unreasonable and actually pull it off. Now, on the other hand, this energy can inflate the ego to such a degree that it can make it a challenge to see reality for what it is and miss the stop signs that have us out of step and out of sync with the very people we want to be connected to. What does this mean? In personal situations, this can give us that boost we need to just step into getting difficult things done, especially where it concerns others and having needed difficult conversations or just stepping up to challenges that require taking control and authority over situations in our lives. This is how this can be used in the light. In the shadow, though, this energy can inflate ego to a megalomaniacal degree with the tension in the oppositional aspects, especially from Pluto and Mars to the full moon. So while this energy creates a blind spot of extreme confidence and faith in ourselves, there are situations where this can be, yeah, super useful, like confronting that pile of things that needs to be donated that's been in the basement for over a year, or standing up to bullies when you've just been letting yourself be abused for too long. and even leaving abusive situations. So use it constructively, star family. I trust you know what to do if you're here. Now, in the collective energies, going out to the macro again, this is where we can see the energy of overinflation of power. We've already seen a lot of this already due to other aspects in the sky. But this full moon in particular can facilitate a sense of being immune to repercussion or full steam ahead, consequences be damned. And, well, we already see how that's going. No further commentary needed. Stay safe, star family. Let's talk about the trine this full moon gives to Lilith here. Okay. In Sagittarius. This exacerbates what I've already mentioned about the shadow sides of this energy because Lilith is an energy that needs to have her way to participate. She will withdraw if she doesn't get her way. So this exacerbates the energy of force already inherent in the other aspects, especially because Lilith is sextile this energy here in Aquarius, specifically Mars and Pluto as a tandem energy separate from the full moon, but both of them impacting the full moon. Lilith, sextile, Mars, and Pluto. It's aggressive. I'm not going to lie. And so I'm saying this with some intention. Everything that I said at the new moon in Cancer about guarding your personal safety is going to continue to remain important at this Leo full moon. Okay, especially for those of you who know you have individuals in your life you're not safe with. Okay, that being said, fast forwarding and now looking at kind of collectively speaking, this applies in collectives and in groups too. This is an energy where things can get, people can get a little carried away in group situations. It's interesting. Um, as an aside and an example of this, there's this fitness creator that I follow here on YouTube. She does excellent, excellent work. And she's done it for free for more than the last 7 years, like pre-pandemic, through the pandemic. Like she got a lot of people through the pandemic when gyms were closed and opportunities to be outdoors were limited. Every year, for about the last 4 or 5 years, she has published a workout kind of 60-day or like 5 week or 7 week kind of program where it would be an upload of a full workout for free here on YouTube for 5 days out of a 7-day week. This year, she decided she was going to take the content and put it into an app, paid app, still 10 times cheaper than a gym and 10x, I'm not exaggerating. Gym memberships are baseline 110 USD per month. Her app, she's only asking for roughly $10 a month. One person, two people, three people jumped on her for wanting to monetize her work. The YouTube algorithm has changed. The way she makes money from it has changed. The way she does business needs to change. Makes total sense. But after one or two people did it, it was like the mob came for her, and everyone felt like they needed to express their regrets that they were not going to give her $10 a month for something that they clearly have been utilizing for years. That's really surprising to me, but it was emblematic of this energy where there's this frequency of mob mindset where people feel like because one person's doing it, everyone needs to do it. It's really fascinating the way that works, and there's a lot of great research studies on it. If anybody knows any of those, definitely drop them in the comments. I'd love to be able to reference them in future. But this energy here, with this sort of stellium out here in the group, and then Lilith aspecting it, it feeds this. It feeds it intensely at specifically a full moon like this. So, something to consider. As you're watching situations unfold in family, at work, in your friendship groups, the way people are engaging their right to disagree. Are they doing so in ways that are respectful, loving, kind? Are they doing so in ways that are bullying, um, that are just mob mentality? Things to really think about, especially because this full moon is in the sign, a sign that deals with personal sovereignty. When we give in to the whims of the crowd, we are actually not always honoring ourself in that. And so it's necessary to really pay attention. Where is my self-honoring in um my movements at this particular full moon? Okay, so it's just an example, but it bears out the energy. It explains this energy in ways that are much clearer than, my words could share. So, okay. Let's see. So we also have a trine to Ceres in Aries. So here is Ceres at that 15th degree of Aries, and here is our full moon in Leo at the 13th degree of Leo. This placement brings in the closure inherent in this full moon. Now, there is some indication that people in certain leadership positions may be terminated by group demand, like the board of directors or the employees may come to some decision and decide, okay, this is no longer working. We need the leadership to step down. Alternatively, you yourself, if you're in a leadership position, the leadership person may decide to step down at this full moon because they see the incongruence or misalignment between where they're at and where the organization needs to go. So look for it in your personal life or in the collective. It could be there either way. We also see a trine to Chiron and Eris in Aries. Oh, what fun it is to be alive. Chiron and Eris in Aries. Now, this is a loose trine, but if you've noticed, this conversation is not going anywhere. I keep bringing them up at every lunation because they are very loud and making themselves known in the way that they aspect every new and full moon, which means that they're playing a significant role in the changes we're experiencing collectively. Okay. And this is a super loose, right? And it's really only Chiron at this particular new moon. I use an orb of 10 degrees. A lot of astrologers will not. I do so because I've noticed listeners on this channel do tend to be astrologically quite sensitive. They feel things within that orb, not earlier, like an orb of 5 degrees or 2 degrees. So I don't use exacts the same way other people will. I will use this quite wide orb. If you're new, welcome. And if you're hearing something that resonates or tickles your fancy, go ahead and hit that like button. Please subscribe. It helps the channel growth tremendously. And if an ad plays, please let it play for at least 30 seconds. I learned this from collaborating last year with Aso Tarot that creators don't get paid if you are not listening to the YouTube video ad for more than 30 seconds, which explains a lot. I was like, huh, this is really interesting. I'm getting no money from YouTube. And now I understand why. So thank you for those of you who do that. It is a great help. Here is this trine from Chiron. This energy is really fascinating because I've talked about it a lot. It's a lot of ego restructuring, and it's highlighted in the collective at this full moon. There can be some things that bruise the ego and bring correction, whether we take this and step into healing and realignment of the ego toward its higher expression, or take this and try to defend the ego and its shadow expressions. It's going to be different for different people. There can also be spiritual ego and paternalism that sets itself up in this energy as we or I know what's best for you and what you should be doing. If that shows up, the pushback to it will be real with the stellium in Aquarius. BT dubs, I have noticed that some of you really have my back in the comments when haters want to hate. And I just gotta say, I love you. And specifically, shout out to Bud Island. I see you, boo, and I thank you. Okay, moving on. I really appreciate you guys. But yeah, where that sort of bullying thing can happen because somebody's ego is bruised, this sort of energy sets us up for correction in that. Okay. And so, um, we see a sextile to the shaman's asteroid in Libra at 12 degrees right here. I really like this aspect because this is bringing in lessons that have been learned in collaborations in the past. This is going to support the groups that are striving for change more than anything, as it's trying to this collective stellium here in Aquarius. There's this sort of learning what has worked, what hasn't worked in collaborations and negotiations in the past. We're taking lessons and we're applying them in the present to quantum leap forward. But also, this shaman's asteroid sextile to the new moon, it's going to allow the lessons from the past to be supported in leadership's integration as well. From those who have been through what you're going through, it'll be a way for them and for yourself to be considered at this time in ways they may not have been considered before. So there's an opportunity, especially for those of you who have really struggled with, um, let's just say, soul contracts, family programming for martyrdom, black sheepism, doormatism, and playing these roles of ostracization that Chiron can really highlight as woundedness. This shaman's asteroid energy is going to allow you to really release that identification, step into sovereignty, taking lessons from relating in the past and applying them to the present into the closure of that identity and the stepping into a more self-loving position that's more balanced because shaman's asteroid is here in the sign of balance, more equal and more fair. That is what Libra represents. So I love to see it for those of you who have really needed to reclaim your power. This full moon in Leo is truly going to support that activity for you. Okay. Let's see. Also, there's something to be said here because we see the shaman's asteroid really supporting constructive influence from Leo, where there's an elder or somebody who has gone through and survived, thrived what you're currently growing through. There's this energy of the collective here being connected to both shaman's asteroid and Leo really does support reaching out to that person, inviting them to speak or support your group at this time. I'm seeing a lot of that happen all across social media as different people are reaching out to folks in other countries to find out, hey, how did you guys do this? Or how are you guys surviving that? With so much energy here in the sign that governs technology, that is Aquarius, using media, using technology to communicate, to connect, makes a lot of sense to find ways to thrive in this atmosphere. Okay, so online coaching, online therapy, online counseling, all of that is highly supported at this full moon if you're experiencing any turbulence. Now, we do also see this full moon square Haumea here in Scorpio. Haumea is now retrograde. Retrograde Haumea here and in the squaring position does make it difficult to get new things off the ground. There is some sort of need here to revisit the past, to go back, to redo, to really kind of dig in the grave a little bit. Scorpio is our sign of closed-ended things and dig out what was there, give it a good autopsy, have a look and see where is there something for me to understand about my sovereignty in this? Could be some difficult truths showing up and emerging from the squaring position, but nevertheless, they will allow us to have greater accountability moving forward so that we're never in the position that we were in again. So all in all, it's all good. It's an evolutionary energy, meaning it's supporting our evolution, it's supporting our growth, it's supporting our capacity to really live into the fullest expression of our highest selves. Is it challenging? Yeah. Yeah, I can't see what's going on in the world and then look at these stars and not see the challenge. So my heart goes out to you personally if this has been personally very difficult for you. I'm seeing people in my personal life really come up against some very challenging, difficult truths to navigate at this time that do indeed impact their sovereignty, their independence, their understanding of themselves. And ultimately, what this is allowing for us to do as we come into greater self awareness is to be, again, live more into that higher self's expression here on the planet, be more of a light. So, if there has been anything challenging showing up for you, just know that you're not alone, that we're growing through this together, that there is support, especially in the arena of friends and peers, maybe even people who think new or different than you, because Aquarius represents the new, the next, the unique, the difference, not the same. So, getting perspectives from others may really help, as opposed to folks who just normally nod their head and agree with everything you say. Getting that opposite perspective can really open hearts and minds at this time. Again, if you're part of a collective that's really hurting right now, again, you're not alone. We all are. There's a lot of change happening in ways that it's challenging to see, but we're going to grow through this together. Okay. So, signs who are going to feel this the most, of course, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus are fixed signs. But then, in addition to that, the fire signs, Aries, and Sagittarius will also be highly impacted by this full moon in Leo. So if you have sun, moon, rising, or stellium in any of these signs, especially in the second decan, you may see the themes that have been spoken about here play out more directly in your live stream this week before and the week after the full moon. And now let us have first look at the Aquarius new moon. This will be our new moon that is closest to Valentine's Day. If you celebrate, truly the only two holidays that I like are Christmas and Valentine's Day. Because they're about love. I love love. So, those are kind of my personal holidays. Now, I have some other personal holidays that will not make sense to a single person other than me. Like, I love St. Bridget's feast day. I love the feast day of Mary Magdalene. But yeah, other holidays, I'm kind of like, pish posh. They can come and they go. But here's our Aquarius new moon solar eclipse. Let's have a look at it. Here is the Aquarius new moon. I like that we have Cheroklo conjunct this particular new moon solar eclipse. Ooh, Mars too. Very fast. Ooh, Vesta too. Okay, so it's a whole party. I like this. This is going to be a very action-oriented new moon. Actions can be taken. Oh, and Uranus is square. I don't know if I like the actions that will get taken, but they will get taken either way. They do look like surprises and not bad surprises at that. They just look like they come out of nowhere, things you may not have anticipated or expected. We also see a sextile to just can't escape it. Chiron and Eris and Aries. They just need to make themselves known for this ego correction, which frankly, I'm here for it. I think it's going to do all of us good collectively. Um, we've all been getting high on our own supply for maybe a little bit too long. And so coming into this place where we really realize how, everyone's got the same old feet of clay, this can be really good for us collectively. I also am seeing this semi-sextile to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. I will save that for communication when we get to the lunar update. And we have anything else that really stands out. Trine to Haumea retrograde stands out. We also see mm, loose. So loose, most people wouldn't even mark it. Square to Lilith and Sagittarius, which I will also cover when we get closer. Fun times. Okay. Change heavy, which makes sense to what I was saying at the start of this lunar update, that because this particular eclipse is change heavy, it is a new moon solar eclipse. And as my astrology teacher, Nadia Shah, has said, new moons mark new beginnings. We get one every single month, but solar eclipses coinciding with a new moon is to quote her, new moon on steroids. This is what we're seeing here. And Uranus and Aquarius, the planet of newness, the sign of newness, means that this is going to be some real new, like new, in some ways that can be a little startling to us, which is why we're seeing some of the things play out. Like I said, we have been in this energy February 17th, January 17th, December 17th, since mid-December, which is why we're all seeing this sort of energy show itself now. Um, stay in love, stay safe, my loves. Okay. That's the best guidance I have for all of us. Okay, beloveds, if you're joining me for the Twin Flame Divine Counterpart Lunar Update, I'll see you over there. And if you are going to part ways here, please like, share, subscribe for anyone who has lived through the energies that I have been sharing. It may help them ground and orient themselves to greater sovereignty, greater clarity, and greater understanding about how this is unfolding for all of our higher good at this time. Thank you so much for being here. Can't wait to catch up with you at the Aquarius New Moon Solar Eclipse. Take great care and bye for now. Definitely check out the podcast with Lauren if you want to go deeper into this year's energies.